Welcome everybody. This is about day 13 of my shoestring build, and I'm going to demonstrate how to put on Polyspan. Now Polyspan installation or covering is fairly similar to the silk span, except for we don't use water to shrink it. Now there are two sides to Polyspan, and it's very important that you get this right. Comes in a roll like this. It's available through Stunt, Hangar, Hobby, Tom Morris. It's called Poly Tissue. Has instructions, and they tell you about the two sides. If you get this wrong, you will have a headache on your hand while finishing. And the trick is the shiny side goes up. If you put the hairy side up, it takes so much dope to fill it, you can't believe it. So here what we're going to do, this is not the way that John's kit was stated to build. He wanted you to put the whole airplane together, then cover the wing. But I'm going to, because it's a scale model, I'm going to finish the wing and install it. So, first thing is we're going to cut a piece of silk span approximately 3 inches longer than the panel. New razor blade. This stuff is tougher than silk span. It's unbelievable. So we want to overlap the center. So matter of fact, I think I'll put a piece of tape on it so I can keep it there while I pull it out. Want to overlap the center by a few inches. Yeah, we'll make it right here. So we get a good, strong center joint. And then we're going to pull it out till it's 3 inches longer than the panel. Now this particular airplane has solid wing tips. So we really don't even have to cover them. We could cover them with silk span, but I'm going to do it all in one setting. So now I have the material laid out on here. And I'm going to follow the line of the leading edge. Tape back off right here. Now we're going to have a little spot because this material is not quite wide enough for the core to this wing. Probably looks to be about a ½ an inch. We'll just put a piece on there. Not a big deal. So I got my thinner in today. We're going to mix up some thinner with dope. We want to mix it 50-50. I stopped and got some new cans. As I told you in my Monado finish, I get new cans for every project. Throw the cans out. I know you could clean them. I'm lazy, I guess. The guy just gives them to me, so it's not a big deal. Looks like we're going to have to get another gallon of dope. I should have ordered another gallon of dope. I got about a quart left. So we're going to put 1 pint. Yeah. We're going to mix it all because that's it. That's all the clear I got. Have to order another gallon. If I'd have saw that yesterday, I'd have just ordered it yesterday. So, that gallon is killed. We got about a pint, a little over a pint in this, so won't quite be 50-50, but it'll be close. And I got the thinner in today. Very expensive stuff. I wish there was a cheaper way to do it, but there's not. So we add the thinner. This wing has 3 coats of dope on it. As a base, it's been all sanded with 320. So now I have the dope in the can. Put the lid on it and we'll give it a shake. I got a request in a private message to explain how plans or blueprints work, and I think I'm going to do that even though I don't build from them, just so that everyone has an understanding of exactly how things work. Because as I stated in a couple of other of my videos, they're just not teaching these kind of things in school anymore, which is a total shame. So we got it shaken up here. I have another quart of clear over there that's mixed with retarder. We won't be using that, because we don't need retarder for this. So we'll take the... here's another trick I'd like to show you. I use these canning jars. It's a quart jar. And I suspend, when I'm done for the day, I will cover it with plastic and suspend the brush, not touching the bottom, in the jar. That way we can use it right away. It's not hard, the brush. So I take that off, and I'm going to, this is a quart mason jar, is what they call it. And we'll transfer it over to this, to the new dope jar, and put the lid on it. My finishing process is so simple. It's really simple. I don't know how to explain it any better than that. So remember, we have the compression spar and the bell crank suspended in this airplane, which was a change from John's plans. I talked to John today. There was a couple of other issues with the kit. Well, I am the first to build this prototype kit. So here we go. So now we got the shiny side up. Want to make sure that once again, because if you put the fuzzy side up, you'll be sorry. So in the center, we're going to dope down the center. Liberally dope down the center. Getting all the wrinkles out. We don't want any wrinkles on the bare wood, because this material, it would probably shrink on bare wood, but it'd be better just to have it laying down nice. The reason why we dope first is we want the thinner to go down through the paper here and bind to the coat underneath it, softening it up. Looks like I'm getting a wrinkle come in there. Might have to pick this up and pull it. So we'll work from the center out this way, because there's so much area that's wood. This video will run probably half an hour. I think I can do this job in a half an hour. Okay, we have the center doped down. Very good. Now we're going to come to the tip and we're going to pull it. And that's why we left that 3 inches on the tip. And I'm going to show you how to heat and pull like monocoat around the tip to get Polyspan to lay down. So the first thing we're going to do is we come to the trailing edge and pull it tight on the tip, and we'll dope it down. Pulling the wrinkles out as we go. We're doing the underside first. And getting all the wrinkles out. Now we come to the leading edge and pull it so that the wrinkles come out. And now we're going to tack it up here on the leading edge. And we're going to take this and pull it, get the wrinkles out. What I found to be true when covering with Polyspan and monocoat, because believe it or not, I did some monocoat airplanes back in the 90s, and my monocoat never bagged up, meaning that it never shrunk, or relaxed in the sun. And the reason I feel that this is the case is I believe, this is only me, that the less amount of heat you have to use to shrink this, the less it has a tendency to relax. So if you pull it tight without heat, the heat just finishing it off, that's the state. I mean, it's already in the state of tautness, if that's a word, when you do the job. The dope is drying very fast up here. That's a good thing. Okay, we have all this area doped down. Make sure all the wrinkles are out on the wood itself. Now we're coming to the tip. Let me position this so you can see me do this tip. And how we're going to do this is I roll the material back and I go around just the outer perimeter of this. Then I'm going to pull it into, get all the wrinkles out, pulling it down into the dope. And then we're going to get the heat gun, and I'm going to heat it and pull it. Now the problem with that is you got to be able to withstand a little heat on your fingers. So they sell a monocoat mitt, but I don't use that. I find it too clumsy to operate with. Okay, heat gun. This is just a standard monocoat heat gun. I have a high wattage industrial heat gun that I use when the compound curves are, extreme. So turn it on high, hold it down, and pull it around the corner. And you'll see it just begin to stretch, and then you stop. And that's it. We've got that tip to lay down perfect. So now I get my sandpaper, and it piece of 150 sandpaper, it kind of bubbled a little bit there, the dope did, sand that bubbling off. When I get this done here, I will get the camera off the tripod and zoom in and show you the end result. Because it is not magic, it is not a big deal. Now we'll go over with a second coat, leading edge. Remember, after you do a few of these, you'll get good at it. It's not that difficult. Okay, let's see where we are. Oh, another thing I'd like to mention, in a hard problem area, you can glue the Polyspan down with CA. Okay, let's shrink it up and see what it looks like. Making sure there's no wrinkles. Wrinkles are just terrible. How long did that take? We got one side done in 10 minutes. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my razor blade and I'm going to trim it up. And we're going to do the top side of this panel. One important thing I'd like to mention that I'm going to do here and show you is this Polyspan needs to be wrapped around the trailing edge and go to the top. We cut off the excess material. Rub it with your finger. You cannot sand Polyspan until it has 3 coats of dope on it. Don't even think about it. You're just opening yourself up for a huge headache. Okay, let's do, I think I'll cut that off because we're going to wrap around the leading edge. Okay. Put some dope down on the trailing edge here just to get it to stick really well. it up. And dope it down. Sealing this trailing edge not only adds a lot of strength, but the finish is much better. When the model looks more professional, when the trailing edge is finished in the groove, so to speak. Take your time, pull all the wrinkles out. That's, like I said, that's the killer, the wrinkles. Okay, well, let it dry for a second. I could probably force dry it with the heat gun, but we'll just let it dry for a second. Razor blade. I've lost it. Oh boy. Here we go. New blade. Cut it off. Now remember, this came around from the top or from the bottom, and we're going to cut it off level with the trailing edge on the top. And we'll do the opposite on the top. We'll go around to the bottom and cut it off. Force them wrinkles down. Dope and tissue of any type is about the easiest finish to do there is. Everybody worries about how hard it is. It's really very simple once you master it. So here we have one panel done. We're going to do the top side. Some more dope on the leading edge to seal this down. Around the tip. Doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get the video editing equipment. It's just too expensive, and there's nobody willing to donate for the upgrade. So we're going to have to go with what we got. Feather that edge in there. Okay, one side's done. I'm going to have to give it a few minutes to dry. And then we'll flip it over and do the other side. You want to do bottom, top, bottom top. You don't want to do bottom bottom, shrink it up, and then do the top. You want to keep turning this thing like a rotisserie, because the dope softens the wood, and the wood wants to, when it relaxes, wants to go to its natural state back into outer space. So do the top, bottom top, bottom top. That's how I do it. You can do it any way you like. I'm just reflecting my experiences. Now, this airplane has some ailerons. We're not going to be using Polyspan on these. There's no need for Polyspan on these. And the fuselage, been thinking about this a lot. The fuselage is a lot of compound curves, and Polyspan does not like to go around compound curves. So what I think I'm going to do is, in the high stress straight areas, I'm going to use Polyspan, such as along the bottom, so we don't get any punctures from rocks flying up. And then on the top half, from about here up, it'll be 2 layers of double-aught silk span. If I had some good GM silk span, I would just use 1 layer. But this model here, because of its service type, it's not going to get a whole lot of abuse. At least I see them crash at the Nats. I see them crash here at Booter. I don't understand how they do that. They're flying level. You know, how can you crash flying level? No clue. Okay, let's turn it over. So now, we'll cut the second piece. Remember, shiny side up, open side down. Overlapping the center by a few inches. I want that center section, because this wing is built in 2 halves, I want this center section solid. And we're going to leave about 3 inches over the edge so that I can pull the tip. Let me check something here. Wanted to make sure the camera was recording. I didn't see the red dot. Okay. I cut it a little short. Oh well. Okay, let's pull it. We're going to be wrapping around the leading edge, so we want to leave enough around the leading edge, because we're going to end underside. We're not going to cut this side, we're going to end underside. So the first thing we do is tack down the center. Got to make sure I got a hole up for that wire. Now, the first time that some of you do this, you're going to be very frustrated. Watch this video several times before you start, because it's not that difficult, but I have a lot of practice doing it. On the forum, someone asked me how many models I've built in my life. I really don't have a clue. When my dad had his hobby shop, and I didn't have anything better to do, including half A's, we used to build probably, I'd say 5 half A's a week. They were real simple. A voodoo I can do in one night. Did it when I was doing flying, a little bit of combat. Yak 9s I could put together in a couple of days, and shoestrings and ringmasters, they only take a few days to put together. And finish with dope now. That's all I ever did. We didn't have monocoat when I was a kid. I don't think it came out until late 60s, early 70s, but I could be wrong. But I didn't see it. And all I knew was tissue and dope. Okay, we've got all the wrinkles down in the center section. Let's pull it tight. Want to go from center out on the sheeting to get it attached. I'm only going to do the outboard side here on this video. The inboard side is just repetition of what I've done here. The bottom, then the top. If YouTube would allow me to listen to TV, I just let the camera run. But quickest way to get your account banned is to have any files on it, that music or television or whatever, even if it's background noise. And I don't want to do that. I want to keep my account clear so I can bring you all these videos. And if you think I'm getting rich, I made $2 last month on videos. Okay, we got the center down. We come to the tip. I push it over here so you can see this done. I didn't leave as much as I would have liked to for material to pull, but fortunately it is long enough to do the job. You pull it tight right along the high point of the wing. We're going to have to tack it up close to the rib this time instead of at the tip like I did last time, because I just don't have enough material. So put some dope along the tip rib and pull it tight. Remember, like I told you, if you have a stubborn wrinkle, you can use CA to put it down, hold it down. We won't have any of those, so this is a pretty straightforward operation. Okay, I got it pulled tight there. We don't have any wrinkles there, but pull it tight and dope the leading edge down. Wrinkles, wrinkles, wrinkles. Remember, that's the killer. That's the thing I hate to see. Boy, guy put in 100 or so hours or 200 hours or whatever on his airplane, and the covering is bagged up. Not good. So this is how you get it. Now, if we were doing silk span, it's the same thing, only instead of using the heat to shrink it, we're using the water to relax it. And you relax it and then pull it tight before you put any dope on it, and then dope it down, like I showed you in my Monado build. Everybody says finishing is such an art. Well, it's not. It's just knowing the right procedures and how to get there. let's see, we're going to have a problem here because of how this was done. So I'm going to cut this at an angle and pull that down. Why did it do that? Well, at least you get to see me. I did have a slight problem here. So we're going to take the heat gun and resolve this issue. And while pulling it, I'm going to heat it. And that got it. Okay, now we're going to do the tip before we shrink the covering. Around the edge of the tip, the perimeter, we don't want to put the covering down on the tip itself. We want to pull it to the edge. I don't want to have the covering. Then it would create an air bubble, which is no good. I wish I would have left myself some more pulling material, because I know I'm going to get burnt. So okay, we got that. Let's shrink the covering up, and that's basically it. Start in the center. Keep the gun moving, because if you don't, you'll burn a hole in it. Sight down the wing, make sure that it stayed straight. And it did, so that's a good thing. I'm going to cut the flap area here. Remember what I told you, we covered from the bottom to the top, and now we're going to cover from the top to the bottom on the trailing edge. And cut it off on the bottom. That way it's a real clean install, and it's stronger that way. So we're not going to worry about any sanding until there's 3 coats of dope on this. Because if you do, you'll get the fuzzies like you can't believe, and you can't get rid of them. Okay, first we put some dope down. Yeah, I see a spot that I didn't get shrunk up. And we pull it around the trailing edge. Basically, it's like wrapping a Christmas present, only you have to do a good job. This wing weighs 10 ounces. I don't know what a scale wing is supposed to weigh, but it's 10 ounces. We'll see what it weighs covered. But I think that my scale airplane is going to be a whole bunch lighter than everybody else's scale airplane. So now we take the material from the top on the leading edge and we're going to wrap it around here and dope it down, and I'll be cutting that off. Can't use the sandpaper method that I use for cutting the Polyspan. You have to use a razor blade. The line does not have to be straight because we're going to feather that in with primer. Matter of fact, we don't want it straight. However, tearing this does not work like it does with tissue. So, while Polyspan is similar, it's not exactly the same. And we'll cut this off. The last Polyspan airplane I did was the Thunderbolt. No, that's not right. The Continental XL. I'm going to show you a trick to lock everything up. We use dope to put it down, and I'm going to seal it down with thinner. 100% thinner. Okay, get my other can. Put a little thinner in it. This stuff's like liquid gold. Don't want to waste any of it. $50 a gallon. That's totally ridiculous. Now straight thinner right on top of the dope we put down. Push down any wrinkles. What that does is it locks one coat to the next. can see the Polyspan actually melt into the wood. And we got a wrinkle there we're going to have to get out. Yep, come right out. This is a Japanese tissue thing, straight thinner. And if you think Silkspan or Polyspan or anything else is hard to work with, try some Japanese tissue. It does not do anything that you want it to do. So this is the operation of applying Polyspan. I hope it helps you. I hope you're getting something out of my movies. Remember to support Stunt Hangar, because the only way we can stay alive is through your contributions. It's become very costly as of late due to the high bandwidth and space. We could be a free site, but it wouldn't be what it is today. All right. Let me dry this up and I'll give you a little tour. We'll put 3 coats on it. That's one side complete. Top and bottom. We'll get 3 coats on it, get it sanded up, and this wing will be ready to install tonight. I'll be glad when this thing gets sealed. This balsa has made me itch like you can't believe. I don't know what's in it. It has to be the pesticides or preservatives or whatever, but boy, has it made me itch. Never happened to me before in my life, but this stuff here has itched me out. While talking with Randy Smith, he made a interesting point. We're going to give it a try on this to save some weight. Is I'm going to go ahead and put the dope, brush the dope on the bare wood, but on the covering itself, I'm going to spray the first 3 coats. That way, we'll probably spray upside down. That way, we don't get any drips going through. And we use less dope. We'll just hold it up here and spray overhead the center section. Well, boy, I see some filling we're gonna have to do to make this a super clean job. And I'll show you that too. This wing is stout though. Alright, that's the Polyspan edition of how to do Polyspan. Any questions, ask me on the forum. I'm always available. You can call me, use the number on the forum. I've got it forwarded to my cell phone, so I get those calls now on my cell phone. And if I can help you in any way, just ask. So until the next edition of Stunt Hangar, tight lines.